And I'm trying. Where's Miss Bruce? Catherine Fleming Bruce calling once, twice. Oh, okay. Well, see, let me ask y'all this, because it's hard for us to see up here. So for those of you who are coming after Miss Bruce, if somebody back there would say, hey, he's coming, she's coming, that would be a big help. Can y'all do that for us? Okay, y'all acting like y'all don't want to comply. You want no, you want to talk from down there. Can I go from down there? They can't see you, baby. Come on, go through there. Let's give her a hand, y'all. Catherine Fleming Bruce. Woo! Wow. Okay, I'm not used to all this fancy stuff. Please forgive me. Good morning, everybody. My name is Catherine Fleming Bruce. I'm going to take this off of here so I can walk around a little bit so we can talk. Because I think we really need to talk. Okay? Now, we had Congressman Clyburn talking to us about the state of the nation. We had Congressman Clyburn talking to us about the state of the world. So there's just a couple of things that I want to emphasize to you today. One, this is not an ordinary election. Okay, this is not the kind of election where, we're doing the usual popularity thing. We're doing talking about infrastructure and broadband, and this is not that kind of election. Okay? This is the kind of election where we have, how many of you watched January 6th committee meeting last night? Okay? Now I want you to know that the Department of Homeland Security has issued a bulletin that says over the next 6 months, we're going to expect to see more of the kind of activity that we saw in Uvalde, Texas. We're going to see people being targeted. We're going to see institutions, organizations being targeted. So we're not talking a typical election. We're talking about a ground war. And when you have a ground war, what do you have to do? My veterans, what do you got to do? Who do you send? You better send somebody from the vineyards. You better send somebody who's been in the trenches, okay, who knows how to fight. So this is what I've been doing in my community. My father was Lewis Fleming from Sumter. Where are my Sumter people? Okay, Sumter, he was able to show me what it's about. He was able to show me that you can be a good politician and not get sold out. You can be an anti-corrupt politician. But I've had the opportunity as the foreperson for South Carolina's longest running state grand jury public corruption trial to target and look at sitting legislators. What were they doing? They're not speaking for us in South Carolina. They're speaking for the lobbyists and the corporations. And we got to indict some of them. I got to sign the indictment for about 5 of these folks. Okay? We're sending them home. And don't think I won't do that in Washington. I'm ready to do that in Washington. Another thing that you ought to know about me, I've had the opportunity to do UN international summits. So I've done international work. I've been to Geneva. I've been to international law reviews, and that work has prepared me for what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, which is impacting us right now with the gas prices. Now, we have people who are talking about prices. Tim Scott, that's all he talks about on his page. How high the gas prices are and what the inflation says. But what is the price of having a failing democracy? What is the price of having a failed democracy? That's what we're getting ready to have in this country. So I need all of you who know we have to do. We're not here to take people with us so they can get a job in Washington and be big wheels. We're not here to be big wheels and walk behind the curtain. We're here to make sure that we get the laws passed. We want to be the support for Congressman Clyburn. That's what the senator is going to do. The senator is going to make sure that the stuff that Congressman Clyburn gets passed in the House is going to continue through the Senate, and it's going to get through the Senate. The voting rights bill, the abortion protections, we even had a domestic terrorism act that did not get passed because of Tim Scott. So if you're ready to get Tim Scott, let me hear some noise. We're ready to get rid of him. I'm going to say one quick thing, and then we're going to go. I would like a lady to stand up, a lady from Lexington County. Her name is Joanna Hafter. Where's Joanna? There's Joanna. Okay. Her daughter was murdered by a weapon that was stolen and not reported. So one of the things that we're going to do when we get to Congress, we're going to pass Lizzie's law to make sure that any stolen weapon is going to be reported. We're going to pass the background checks. We're going to pass all these things that are going to help Gilda in the work that she is doing. Yeah, we're going to be your backup, Gilda. Okay? Thank you for your time. Thank you for taking your time.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Mr. Excuse me. I've been asked to make an announcement. Let me say this, y'all. We know how conventions go, and we know that people like to gather and have conversations on the side and in the back and in the hall, in the middle and over here. I've been asked by those who are sitting here who are trying to hear the candidates, people who have not made up their mind, and they want to hear from these candidates. They've asked me to ask those of you who are carrying on y'all conversation, how about take it outside? There are people in here who want to hear from these candidates. If you don't want to hear, that's how you roll, that's fine. But there are people in here who want to hear, so we're going to ask you, please, very nicely, to very quietly take that important conversation outside. We're going to hear now from Miss Angela Jeter from Spartanburg, another candidate for the U.S. Senate. Let's give her a big round of applause.
Good morning, South Carolina delegates. Good morning. That was nice. It's a great view of you. I'm kind of like Catherine. That was going in all. My name is Angela Jeter, and I'm bringing greetings from Spartanburg, as she said, where I was born and raised. And I'm running to be your next United States Senator. So it makes me stop and pause. When I look at this race, I think it's going to be like any number of races across the country. And it's going to center on a couple of things: a willingness to lead and a desire to go. Well, I think the time has come for a frontline leader to represent South Carolina. And what I mean by that is, whoever represents South Carolina, she should be someone that is willing to put forth a vision. Someone that understands the role of federal government. Someone is going to be forthright about the choices being made in the name of others. And someone that is accountable for those choices. I believe I am such a person. And Because one, I think I'm young and energetic enough to engage with the issues of the day and the very ideas at the heart of government. I'm old enough to distinguish fact from fiction, because there seems to be a lot of confusion about that. And I'm humble enough to know when I cannot. But also, I'm a United States Air Force veteran. And as an Air Force veteran, I understand what to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic means. Because I've taken that oath already. And I would be delighted to take that oath again as your next United States Senator. So in standing for the Senate, this campaign from the very start has been focused on economic development, infrastructure, and education. We made those choices because the pandemic made us acutely aware that small and micro businesses, you know, those people with 1 to 5 people, are a key to our economic vitality. So we have to support them. But the pandemic also made us acutely aware of how we think about our infrastructure needs. And that it does not match how we live and work. So we must rethink how we're making investments in our infrastructure. And make no mistake, it doesn't matter how much we put in economic development or infrastructure if we don't invest in education. If we don't invest in education, all these efforts we're making are going to be wasted. Because we know we must have skilled workers capable of doing next generation work. So let me wrap this up by saying, I want to be your next United States Senator. And in doing so, I will make my decisions based on fiscal reasonableness, support for federalism, and the moral imperative to govern. To find out more about me and my campaign, please go to www.jeterforussenate.com. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Ms. Jeter. Now we're going to hear from the final candidate for the U.S. Senate, the Honorable Crystal Matthews. Representative Matthews.
Good morning, Democrats. Come on, y'all can do better than that. Good morning, Democrats. I am Representative Crystal Matthews, and I represent currently District 117 in the South Carolina State House. And y'all, I just came here this morning as a candidate for the United States Senate to say, thank God we don't get what our senators vote for. Right now, coming out of the pandemic, we need so many things to recover. And Tim Scott has not voted for any of the things that we need. As a single mother of 5, let me tell you that I understand firsthand juggling work and life and trying to figure out this thing called the pandemic and how we will survive to come out of it. But Democrats, I come to encourage you today. You get 2 choices. You can either be pitiful or you can be powerful, but you cannot be both. Are we going to be pitiful or are we going to be powerful? Are we going to cut our medicine in half or are we going to fight for affordable health care? Are we going to work 3 and 4 jobs or are we going to tie a living wage to inflation? Are we going to really do the things that we say we're going to do? Or are we wrapped up in titles? Are we wrapped up in our power? Are we wrapped up in feeling important? I didn't run for politics to be important. I came in 2018 not knowing a soul in either party because I was tired of watching what was going on in community. And I flipped the seat from a 10-year incumbent, and I only raised $720. So when they tell us it can't be done, I'm telling y'all it can be done. But the first thing we got to do, Democrats, is we got to believe it can be done. Do y'all believe it can be done? I don't know if y'all really believe, but I look at numbers all the time. And let me tell y'all something. There are over 3 million people in this entire state. Only 2 million voted in the last governor's race. We have 124 House districts in this state, each one 40,000 plus. Only 15,000 at best vote every year. What does that tell you? The numbers are there if the people come out. We ain't got to get all the people. We just need more of our people than of theirs. This special election that just happened, a district of 40,000. How many people do you think voted in this special election? 2,000. Come on, y'all, we got the numbers, but we got to believe we got the numbers. You can be pitiful or you can be powerful. The choice is up to you. Vote Matthews for Senate on June 14th because we need somebody with a backbone and the ability to read with comprehension to go to D.C. and make sure that working families have what they need. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. This is our energizer. This is where we get round up. This is home base for us. This is where we get our power. We are allies in this room. This is where your help is. Look around. Look to the other counties. We are not in competition. We are here to promote each other and push each other up. When they tell us we're divided, we have to decide to stand together. Come on, y'all. I'm ready to fight in D.C. Are y'all ready to go with me? Let's take it to them. Matthews for Senate. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all, let's give it up for all three of our candidates. What we do know is that if we get busy, do what we know needs to be done, stay focused, we will be sending a black woman to the U.S. Senate. All right, if you'll turn your attention now to the video from DNC Chair Jamie Harrison.
Hello, South Carolina Democrats. It's so good to be with you all. South Carolina Democrats are strong. You all helped send President Biden and Vice President Harris to the White House. You all sent Congressman Jim Clyburn to Washington to help lead our party. I want to thank the leadership of the South Carolina Democratic Party, Trav, Leslie, Anthony, Jalen, and Jake. Thanks for the tireless work and long hours. Thanks to our DNC members and to the candidates and the officials who stepped out to serve our community. I know from my time as chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party that the work isn't easy. You've got to do more with less. You're constantly facing long odds, but that has never stopped us. Our commitment to democratic values isn't because of what the polls or pundits say. It's because we've seen the impact that our work can do firsthand. I know a lot of you know my story. You know I'm only here today because of the Democratic Party and the policies that we believe in. And I know it's the same for so many of you. And that's what motivates us, serving our communities, addressing the everyday needs of South Carolinians. My friends, that's exactly what President Biden has done from day one. He has presided over historic economic growth and job creation. His American Rescue Plan helped get hundreds of millions of Americans vaccinated, and safely reopened our schools and made a historic investment in our historically black colleges and universities, including those right here in South Carolina. His bipartisan infrastructure law will deliver clean water and affordable internet to communities that have neglected for too long. He's appointed a historically diverse slate of judges, and his idea of a black woman serving on the United States Supreme Court was born right here in South Carolina. And folks, you saw those hearings. During those hearings, Republicans tried hard to derail Ketanji Brown Jackson. But what they saw on full display was the strength, the intellect, and the virtue of black women. So they tried to call her everything but a child of God, but in a few weeks, my friends, they will be referring to her as Madam Justice. Now, President Biden has got a plan to bring down costs and to continue addressing the everyday needs of people across the nation. A plan that will cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month, bring down childcare costs, and lower people's energy bills. My friends, the alternative from the GOP is bleak. It looks like plans that could raise our taxes, end the Social Security and Medicare guarantee, and threaten our health care. It looks like attacks on fundamental freedoms we spent decades fighting for. That's why we've got to organize every day from now until November. It's why the DNC is proud to have increased funding for our state parties by 25%. It's why we have built our largest voter protection team ever. It's why our Red State Fund is building long-term infrastructure in places just like South Carolina, where we funded our very first voter registration investment. Folks, we have got a 57 state and territory strategy, and we're not backing down to Republicans anywhere. Henry McMaster, Tim Scott, and Republicans up and down the ballot, they better understand that that means South Carolina too. Together, with the leadership of Chair Trav Roberts and the entire South Carolina Democratic Party team, we're going to make our own history in November. We'll show folks that you should never bet against a South Carolina Democrat. Thank you all so much for everything you do. Thank you for all of your love and support. Thank you, South Carolina Democrats, for constantly standing up to save our democracy. It's an honor to be in this work with each and every one of you.
Let's give Daniel a hand, and please know that the reason he's not here with us today is because he's traveling with President Biden on the West Coast. We are now at that part of our agenda where we are going to hear from our candidates for Superintendent of Education. Y'all don't need me to stand up here and tell you how important that is. So we're going to start with Gary Burgess first. And as the candidates come up, let me make an announcement to the candidates from the technical staff. If y'all want to be recorded on this, it's all nice for you to walk around and stuff, but you get out of the camera range. So if you want to make sure you stay in camera range, I've been asked to ask you to please be still behind this pole, because that's the only camera that's trained on it. Can we do that? And that's for those of you who run it now. It don't matter because, you know, I'm just asking. Thank you so much. Brother Burgess.
Come on, let's give it up to Congressman Jim Clyburn. Isn't he a great American? I am Gary Burgess, and I'm running for State Superintendent of Education. Make no mistake about it, American democracy is on the ballot Tuesday, and educated citizenry is required for a democracy to survive and thrive. And education is a fundamental human right for every child in South Carolina, and we need to make sure they're educated and educated well. We must take back education from the far right. They're trying to destroy universal public education. We know how to educate children, and we will. I'm a fighter, and I will fight to save universal public education, to ensure that public dollars go to public schools. I will use the office of superintendent as a bullet pulpit to speak truth to power and building a more perfect union. I will fight those who will perpetuate the needless cultural wars against our public schools in order to kill our public schools. We need strong public schools in South Carolina. I taught at Dorman High School for 7 years, assistant principal at Burns High School and Dorman High School, principal at Whitlock Junior High School, Deer Hill Middle School, and Pendleton High School. I have been an assistant superintendent in Anderson Ford, superintendent of schools in Anderson Ford. Currently, I'm the secretary of the Anderson County School Board, an elected board. I am a certified teacher and a certified district superintendent. I have supervised attendance clerks and activities directors. I'm not running for this position as a consolation prize. I'm running to fight for the children and for the teachers of South Carolina. I'm a graduate of Chapman High School, Inman, South Carolina, Wofford College, Converse University, where I also did adjunct work, and I received my doctorate here in Columbia, and I am proud to be back in Columbia today. I need your vote. You need to vote for a fighter. I'm tired of vote milly-mouthy, talking about what we cannot do. We need somebody to stand up and to call out these folk who are trying to kill universal public education. We need to do it, and we need to do it fast. I remind my daughter that my father fought in World War II. He went to fight at a time when he did not have the right to vote, defending someone else's right to vote in America. And now we have the governor and other folk that want to dismantle elected school boards to get rid of representation. We need to stand up. My father and I have the right to vote, but I tell you what, I will not give up my right for self-representation on school boards. Now we need to make sure that we do it. Let nobody tell you that somebody else knows better than you who can represent you. How many of y'all remember Flint, Michigan? Raise your hand. Stand up if you remember Flint, Michigan. They put in office folk who are not elected, and they poisoned that entire city. I want somebody I can vote for. So I stand here on the shoulders of my ancestors, my Asian ancestors, my African ancestors, my European ancestors, my Hispanic ancestors, and my Native American ancestors, to ensure that no child is deprived of their human right to a great universal public education in South Carolina. South Carolina, this state, has uniquely prepared me and qualified me to be the next superintendent of education. And I will fight to take back public education from the extreme right. Vote Burgess Tuesday. And vote for me. And vote for your children, our teachers, our future, and American democracy. Thank you for letting me speak to you today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Our next candidate, Lisa Ellis, is on video. Please turn your attention to the screen.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Ellis, and I am running for South Carolina Superintendent of Education. If you are not yet familiar with the role of state superintendent, the purpose is to oversee the Department of Education across the state, including student graduation and preparing them for education and careers after high school, a personalized learning experience, and as we once again unfortunately see as most important, a safe learning environment. There are 3 of us running in the Democratic primary for state superintendent, but I am the only one with classroom teacher experience, an experience that many agree is pivotal in crafting the teaching, student, and parent experience with our public education system. My most recent classroom experience is as a Richland II district teacher, which rounds out my 21st year in the profession. This time includes during the pandemic, making me the only Democratic candidate with experience teaching Zoom school, managing the mental health impacts of learning from home and the loss many of our students experienced due to COVID-19. I can go on and on to show you that I am the only candidate with such an experience, but what is even more critical is that I share why it is important. You all know far too well that teachers are leaving our profession due to low wages, challenging work environments, and general lack of support from schools. Teachers and students are experiencing burnout. They are fed up with the system and the diminishing results they gain from it. These results look like increasing class sizes, fewer quality teachers, decreased trust in the public school system, and worsening student outcomes. And I have a plan to combat these challenges. If elected, I will work with our legislature and advocate for lawmakers to use our unprecedented budget surplus to finally honor our state's Education Finance Act by meeting and beating the Southeastern average teacher salary. No more should teachers be moving out of the state or the profession as a whole in order to maintain a livable wage. To do so, we will utilize the oversight authority of the superintendent's office to reduce unnecessary bureaucracy and paperwork that prevent teachers from getting their job done. and instead redirect this time to teaching, teacher prep, and other more valuable uses of time. While this seems impossible, I know it can be done. I founded the teacher advocacy group SC for Ed, building a community of over 29,000 that advocated for a minimum 4% salary increase for teachers and rallied over 10,000 supporters outside the State House. So while it will be difficult, I am the only candidate who both knows firsthand what teachers and students need in the classroom and what it takes to galvanize stakeholders and lawmakers to actually move the needle. Many of you are not only Democrats and activists, but also parents, and are most concerned about your child's safety on campus. While you should be focused on ensuring the best outcomes for your child after graduation, our lawmakers have failed your children so much so that violence on campus is all too common. It is time we make our schools safe. As state superintendent, I will bring new focus to mental health on campus, ensuring state funding for support services and mental health care professionals. We need to start addressing the source of issues that lead young people to commit violence. I will be your child's advocate to lawmakers to tighten gun regulations. We can point time and again to school shootings that would have been prevented if one person did not have such expedient and easy access to a weapon of war. School safety will be my #1 priority for your families and teachers. It is also imperative that our state work to reconnect our parents with our schools. A student's parent or guardian is the most important educator they will have throughout their lives. By strengthening the relationship between the school and the adults at home, we can ensure that they are working in tandem and not at odds with one another. This will happen by directing districts to make their policies and procedures easily accessible to parents and guardians. As state superintendent, I will work to revise the school report card so that it does not overemphasize the importance of test scores, but rather utilize other measures of student and school success. With our schools working hand in hand with our communities, we can create an atmosphere at our district school board meetings that invites constructive dialogue rather than political drama. It is my hope that you see your own values in my vision for South Carolina public schools. I hope you join this classroom teacher, the only classroom teacher in this race, in our fight to build a stronger student and teacher-focused state education system. The parents of our state are asking for solutions. The educators of our state are leaving without solutions. But most importantly, our children are left to suffer if we cannot find solutions. It is time that South Carolina had a classroom leader with solutions. Please make sure that you vote in the primary on June 14th if you haven't already. And remember, if you want it done, elect a classroom teacher. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Representative Jerry Govan.
Good afternoon, fellow Democrats.
Good afternoon.
I said, good afternoon, fellow Democrats.
Good morning.
I am State Representative Jerry Govan, and I'm running for the very important position of State Superintendent of Education. With 30 years of executive policy experience and 27 years experience as a public educator, I am the most qualified candidate running to become your next State Superintendent of Education. It makes no sense to me, though we're spending billions of dollars on public education, that we here in South Carolina continue to be near the bottom, ranked 43rd in the country. Yet many of our students are struggling to meet standards in English, language arts, and math. A state where our teachers and support staff are overworked and underpaid. It seems to me that we can't even attract and keep good teachers when we find them. So I'm running because I believe in certain things. First of all, I believe that our children deserve better. I believe that our teachers and support staff deserve better. And I believe that we as parents and as taxpayers deserve better. We need a new vision for public education in South Carolina. And I'd like to take a moment just to share with you my vision. I envision South Carolina where children learn and teachers teach, where high expectations and success are the norm. I envision a South Carolina where parents are respected as their child's first teacher. I envision a South Carolina where not only teachers are paid based on what they're worth, and I can see $65,000 a year as a starting salary for a teacher in the state of South Carolina. But I envision a South Carolina which respects the educator, a teacher for the quality of their work. And that every school employee, not just teachers, receive a livable wage. I believe and envision a South Carolina where every teacher gets a 30-minute uninterrupted break to just simply get off their feet. Because they work hard and they're on their feet a long time and they are tired. They deserve that break. I believe that we should have a state in which every child has a constitutional right. And I'm not just talking the talk, I've walked the walk, I've introduced this bill in the General Assembly year in and year out. It's time that South Carolina guarantees every student in this state the right to a high quality and not a minimally adequate education. We need to pass that. I believe that every child in this state deserves high quality child care. And I believe that every kindergartner needs to be ready and test ready for school, ready to learn. But we have to make the investment and we have to make the change. I believe and I envision a state where our institutions of higher education become incubators for the next generation of educational leaders who are well prepared to inspire our next generation based upon content and pedagogy that reflects the best of the past but the promise of the future. And ladies and gentlemen, I envision a state of South Carolina. Yes, particularly as a 40-year-long Democrat. I envision a South Carolina which other states are red with envy rather than being red because of heart. I believe that South Carolina should be a state where fear is not a motivator to hate and discriminate, but a catalyst to face the future with understanding and optimism, where love and respect becomes the benchmark of character. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, I believe in a South Carolina that will assure us that we stand as a state based on principle, that we will do right by our children, right by our parents, and right for our future. On Tuesday, June the 14th, I'm asking you to help me ensure that vision as your next state superintendent of education. God bless you, and may help me smile.
We're at a point in our program that, quite frankly, is a bit somber. We have a tradition here at our state convention in making sure that we remember good Democrats who have transitioned and who've gone before us. Please give your attention to our in memoriam video, and I would remind you that there is a name that is not on this list, but will be on next year's list, and that's the former mayor of Florence, Frank Willis. The video, please.
Oh, I love music. Oh, come on. Really?
Okay. Let's thank all of those we just saw for their service and work to this party, for all the years that they Oh, is that on? I'm so sorry. Y'all, I'm so sorry. We can't see the screen, so I was going by the music. When I thought I heard it stop, I thought the screen had stopped. For those of you who recognized and submitted names that were on the screen, please don't take my talking over it as being disrespectful. It's just a matter of me kind of not knowing what's going on because I'm not looking at the screen. Thank you so much. Thank you, Trav. Now we're going to hear from our congressional candidates. We're going to start with the 2nd Congressional District. Let's give it up for Judd Larkin. Judd?
Good morning, Democrats. Woo. My name is Judd Larkins, and I am a young rural Democrat that is going to defeat Joe Uli Wilson this fall.
Yeah, he gotta go. You gotta go.
Folks, I'm originally from 96, South Carolina. I live here in Columbia now. I'm a husband and a businessman. And we're going to flip this seat because we're bringing in a different electorate. We are bringing in those who up until now have not had a voice in Congress. And one of the reasons why I am in this race is because I am fed up with the status quo in our rural communities. Far too often, we lack access to basic everyday necessities, stuff that some people take for granted, things like groceries, quality healthcare and emergency services, and high-quality, well-paying jobs. And that is unacceptable to me. Our rural communities, like Springfield, like Blackpool, deserve a congressman that knows what it takes to make businesses thrive in a rural area. They deserve a congressman that knows the complexities of living in a rural community. And folks, the benefits of having a congressman speaking for our rural communities is going to extend beyond the 2nd Congressional District. It's going to have an impact in communities all across the state, in McCormick, in Darlington, in Calhoun, in Bamberg, all over this state for all of our rural communities. And folks, I grew up on a dirt road in Greenwood County. I've started multiple businesses in small town South Carolina. And when I get to Congress, we will invest in our rural communities so that they can attract and retain living wage jobs. I will fight to ensure that our rural schools have the resources they need to put our youth on the path to success. I will fight to ensure that no one has to drive outrageous distances, sometimes upwards of an hour, just for groceries. And I will fight to ensure that our young people can see a future in their hometown. I am ready to be a voice for our rural communities here in the Midlands and beyond. And folks, I'm also fed up with the lack of young voices in Congress. We need young voices who know firsthand of the impact of today's issues, like this thing of student loan debt. We need young voices who know firsthand how the rising cost of living is causing the American dream for us to slip further from reach. And right now, too many young families are being priced out of home ownership. And we need more young voices who understand what it means to live in a digital age, where right now, everyday life and technology is so intertwined that we can't function without a smartphone. Folks, we're not going to solve these problems and more like them without more young voices at the table in Congress. Listen, we are building the coalition needed to flip this seat. We are reaching out to rural voters, young voters, and those who are fed up with the direction that Republicans are trying to take this country. Prior campaigns have laid the foundation, and now is the time for us to strike and to shock the country by flipping this seat blue. And my fellow South Carolinians, we are hoping to create the blueprint that can be used all across the state to flip seats that we once thought we couldn't flip. So Lexington, Aiken, Barnwell, Orangeburg, and Richland, I know y'all are ready. Now is the time for us to put in the work. Now is the time for us to band together. Now is the time to register voters. Now is the time to reach voters we've never reached before. Now is the time to send a young rural voice to Congress. Now is the time to show that we can send a young rural Democrat to Congress. For everyone, listen, last page, and on the back cover, last page, we got a QR code to donate. Help me create this blueprint. Invest in expanding the Democratic electorate. And folks, my name is Joe Larkins, and I'm going to be the young rural Democrat that y'all send to Congress this year. Thank y'all. God bless. Have a great convention.
Kevin Eckert, 5th Congressional District. Here for Kevin. And what we're going to ask is if you are going to come up here and speak, if you kind of make your way down to this area, that would be great. We could keep it moving. We're going to hear from Kevin Eckert from the 5th. All right, then come on around. And what we want to do is make sure, let me repeat the announcement because I don't want our technical people to think that we're all slow learners. If you want to be on camera, you got to stand here. I know you're excited. You want to show your passion, all that good stuff. But you decide if you want to be on camera. I'm told you got to be still because we got one camera. Remember, we Democrats. We don't have multi-cameras. Come on, Kevin. Hello.
I gotta say, it's my second time on stage. I feel a little special. So like I said, my name is Kevin Ecker, and I'm running for Congress in South Carolina's 5th Congressional District. I'm running because I see entire communities being forgotten and left behind. I see people who are unhappy with the roads, the lack of internet, lack of job opportunities, and in certain parts of the states, the water quality issues seem to be a little bit of a problem too. And they feel like no one is listening to them. But then I look up to Washington, D.C., and I see in Ralph Norman a congressman who can't relate to the people in his district, or he just doesn't seem to care. You know, I see a congressman who likes to talk about the problems we're facing, but isn't willing to be a part of the solution. Whether it's with the issues of gun violence, the price of prescription drugs, the price of gas prices, or even our baby formula shortage, Ralph Norman has consistently failed his constituents, and he has consistently failed South Carolina. And, you know, he can't relate to these problems the way I can because I am a normal, everyday person. You know, I understand the issues of paying for gas. I understand how hard it is to make ends meet. And I feel that we need to send more people to Congress who can understand that and are willing to fight for that. And that's why I'm ready to fight. I will fight to raise the federal minimum wage. I will fight to bring back the expanded child tax credit. And I'll fight for paid family leave. I'll fight to make sure our rural communities are seen and heard. And I'll make sure that they get their fair share to ensure that their roads are improved and increase the number of well-paying jobs too. And I'll fight for our environment. We are running out of time to address climate change, and what better time to take care of it is when gas is $4.50 a gallon. Now, when I look at the 5th Congressional District, I don't see a hopeless sea of red. I see precincts and counties waiting to be flipped blue. But we're not going to accomplish that unless we rise to the occasion. Right now, people are struggling with gas prices, inflation, and the threat of gun violence hangs over everyone. And people are looking for individuals who will go out into their communities to find solutions. I know that because that's what people in the 5th District have been telling me. My campaign has spent the last month and a half knocking on doors, making phone calls, and sending text messages to over 40,000 people in the district to let them know about early voting and to hear what matters to them. Many are surprised to see a congressional candidate standing on their doorstep in the 90-degree heat talking to them. For a lot of people, that's the first time that they've ever talked to a political candidate. But for me, I see the path to victory. The path to victory is there. The votes needed to win is there. We just need to go out and get them. And I can assure you that I am the candidate to do that. So I'm here to humbly ask for your vote on June 14th, so you can support me by going to my website, kevinforcongress.sc.com. And finally, let us always remember, Democrats do great things for South Carolina. And Democrats do great things for the United States of America. And when we defend and expand our majorities in the House and Senate, we will do bigger and better things as well. I know we have a lot to do, but we'll get it done together. My name's Kevin Ecker, and I'm running for Congress in the 5th Congressional District.
We're going to move now to the 6th Congressional District and hear from Dr. Michael Addison.
Say, stay at the microphone because you want to be seen. What a nice group. My name is Michael Addison. I'm originally from Hartsville, South Carolina. Born and raised, graduate of South Carolina State University, Life University School of Chiropractic, practiced sports medicine for a while, got involved with a lot of community activities in Allendale, practiced there for about 15 years. But I've noticed being a public servant, being a physician practicing, we run into a lot of different situations about people's lives. And people come to us often when they have a lot of problems. So the question is, how can we really help them? So we go and we start doing our research, and we see that there's an opportunity to help people from a legislative perspective. So we get to meet people in the legislature, and we ask and petition them for certain things in our communities. But what I've noticed is that a lot of our people have lost faith in our legislative process, in our political process. I mean, we're supposed to be a democratic society, but there's so much apathy now, and our party, from my perspective, appears to be rather fractured. And we gotta get an adhesion, something to bring us back together, some common ground that we all can stand on. Or we don't have Donald Trump to kick out now. You know, we have a lot of other issues that we can focus on, but what about the people who are counting on us to do certain things, and when they look around, they feel disenfranchised? So as I get out here and we talk with the people, what we guarantee them is that we're going to always be there, and we're going to have a policy that is going to be for the people, by the people, and of the people. And because of that, it gives us a very good opportunity to run this race and win this race, because the people are ready for change. We are the change that our people have been looking for. Those of us who've gotten older in this political arena, I hope you guys will go back and pull some younger proteges in. Make sure all your friends are not your same age. As I treat patients and they have to come in and they have certain procedures, they got to find someone to give them a ride because they don't have a lot of young friends. So I encourage people to get friends in all categories. But as you think about this body here, this political body, how many of us have recruited young people to be a part of this activity? I mean, we're losing our children to gang violence, to mass shootings, to high dropout rates in the schools. You know, one of the things on our platform is we want every child that's graduated from this public school system to have a trade. College is not for everyone. When I was in high school, they told me that I wasn't smart enough to be a doctor, that I should be a plumber, a carpenter, or an electrician. So I did that. I became a plumber, a carpenter, and an electrician, and I actually built my first house. Because I listened to my guidance counselor, but I had this burning desire to be a doctor as well, because I wanted to help people. And in the process of doing that, I stayed doing all these different things, and now I own companies in all those arenas. But what I'm saying this to let you know that we got a lot of wonderful children out there, and we have a campaign of compassion. When COVID-19 started, Representative Hunter and others, including myself, we got out there and called Hunter. We got out there on the front line to make sure our communities had testing. We paid for it because it was a need for the community. People were concerned, and now COVID is on a resurgence. Numbers are going up again, and the numbers are not very accurate because everyone is doing home testing, and we don't get those results in. So listen, continue to follow your protocols for COVID, because look around yourself, look at your neighbors. Some of us are still struggling with it, long haul COVID and whatever else. But listen, guys, this is a wonderful opportunity to be here, to have a chance to petition to be one of 435 members of this great Congress. I thank God for this opportunity. I thank you all for listening, and I look forward to seeing you guys at our next delegate meeting. You guys be safe on your way home. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Greg Marcel Dixon.
Hello, everyone. My name is Greg Marcel Dixon, and as I look at this crowd, they always say that the Democratic Party is the party of the big umbrella. Is that not true? We welcome all types of people in our party. But now I want to ask y'all a question. Who holds that umbrella for us? I can tell you who doesn't. Black Americans. 73 to 80% of the Democrats in South Carolina are Black Americans. And yet, here are the statistics. I'm about to name some things that are not necessarily celebratory, but I'm from Jasper County. I live right next to Hampton County. I'm not far from Allendale County. I'm not so far from Williamsburg County. Extremely poor, extremely rural, majority Black counties. Here are some statistics. Black Americans between 1910 to 1997 have lost 90% of our land. Our ancestors fought to get 16 million acres and fought to keep it, only for us to lose it. We're down to just 1 million acres of land in a country we built and fought to defend because of a system called heirs property. I'm pretty sure a lot of you in the audience have lost land to heirs property, or you're dealing with it right now, just like myself. It is a state level matter. But what happened when schools refused to desegregate. The federal government got involved. Likewise, when Black Americans were losing our land, the federal government should have gotten involved, but they didn't. But you know what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said? The time is always right to do what's right. So my platform is one of dealing with land justice for Black Americans, because Black Americans are the foundation of the Democratic Party. I'm not saying it's only for Black Americans, but what happens to a house when the foundation crumbles? The whole house comes down. So we got to keep our foundation strong. So my Heirs Property platform includes giving federal resources to not just help us keep the land that we have now, but to compensate my Black American elders who are still with us for the land they lost and never received any justice for. Australia just made global news. Australia is going to do reparations for the stolen generation, Aboriginals who were taken from their families. America, Joe Biden just extended the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act that gives reparations to people on the island of Guam who were exposed to radiation and they still get sick from it. They get reparations, and so do their families. Native Americans get reparations. Holocaust survivors get reparations. Japanese Americans got reparations from this airland. But who built this airland? Who suffered and was lynched from trees in this airland? Who built Black Wall Street without a penny in their pocket just to see their Black Wall Street burn to the ground? That was Black Americans. The Democratic Party would not exist without Black Americans. We have showed up to save you. Now it's time for you to show up to save us. Oh, and I know some people want me to come up here and talk about health care. I support universal health care. I support tuition-free schools and colleges. But what about supporting the people, Black Americans, who have always shown up to support us? Now, I'm a teacher, okay? I've taught for 17 years. I've won award after award. I've taught in the so-called Corridor of Shame. I did not like that name growing up. It made me feel embarrassed to be from Jasper County. Everyone said in Beaufort County, that's where you needed to go. I now embrace the name Corridor of Shame. You want to know why? Because the shame is not on the children. The shame is on the leaders who have allowed it to exist. That's to whom the shame belongs to. I have an education policy where I am going to feel that every child, irrespective of where they're born, should have their school should get funded enough with teachers, paraprofessionals, cafeteria employees, bus drivers, receptionists can get a pay raise. The government will close the gap in between what a county can do, and that way every county, whether you're in a poor zip code or a rich zip code, can get equal funding. I have a transportation plan. Black Americans are the most likely not to own a vehicle. That should not be. If you live in rural areas like Jasper County and you don't have a car, you can't get to work, you can't get to the grocery store, you can't get to a doctor. We should not have that in this country. So I plan to introduce a car buy and car assistance program. I taught for 17 years in the classroom, but I realized it wasn't my students who need to be taught a lesson. It's the people up there in D.C. who need to be taught a lesson. And I'm about to wrap right now, sorry. Mia McLeod came up here and said insanity is doing the same thing and expecting something different. For 30 years, South Carolina District 6, we've been doing the same thing. We're the 6th poorest district in the nation out of 435. We have the highest rate of amputation. We have the worst water in the country. Black Americans, the Gullah Geechee people, my people, have lost pretty much all their coastal property. So, I am going to do something different. We are going to go to a march for our lives. I'm running for our lives. Greg Marcel Dixon, Marcel for Congress. Thank you.
Good job, man. Who did that? Who did that?
We are just about, just want to make a quick announcement as we get toward the close of our business. We wanted to try to finish at 12. So that those of you who are interested in participating in the march, and I know what time it is, I thought I'd remind y'all that if you want to go over there at 12, we are near that. But as we look to what's coming up next. I'm going to introduce Greg Perry and Carol Fowler, co-chairs of the Committee on Rules and Credentials. As they come up, y'all, let me just give you an update on the bucket passing. We only need $39, y'all. $39, and we will have raised $5,000. Now, I know I'm looking at, $39 is $1 a piece. But all right, come on up here. You know what would be even better, Trav? Go over there with the bucket, baby. Hey, y'all know what would be even better? If we had more. And so, Trav, just walk through, walk down, and y'all put some more money in the bucket as we hear from our rules committee.
Put money in the bucket.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I don't play.
All right.
Thank y'all so much for your generosity. Really appreciate it.